War, whores, gold, power, lust, wealth, death, integrity, honor, loyalty, not so much of those. Well, first thing about this series, I'm going to talk about the series, not just the first book, is that a lot of people, I've seen it compared to Tolkien and like Lord of the Rings. It's like comparing night and day. Yeah, they're loosely in the same genre, but Tolkien was more a quest-based adventure where they're good and evil, black and white, everything's clear, and you know, that's told through, it has multiple characters, but they're so close together. They occasionally split up, but it's all one adventure, and it follows it pretty linear. So, I mean, it's Game of Thrones, and A Song of Ice and Fire is not really like that. Not at all. I mean, especially the good and evil part. It's there's characters that are pretty much just bad. They're just, more or less, they're evil, but all the characters are kind of gray. They all have good and bad qualities. Some of the good characters I kind of hate, like Sansa Stark, you know, but but it's more realistic in that everyone has a good and bad side, which I like. My one gripe with that is that it's really, the bad side of the characters is overpowering in these books. Ned Stark, for example, he's basically the pillar of integrity and honesty in the first book, but in the end he ends up forsaking all that because they threaten his daughter, and you know, he admits to crimes he didn't commit. And I was like, yeah, let him die like a dog. No one it'd be nice if he would stand by his principles, but in the end he broke, and I was just like, yeah, let him die. And I kind of feel that way with a lot of the characters, that, you know, because you see you see their bad side, and you're just like, well, you know, they had it coming when they get it. On the other hand, I do like that the story is told from so many different characters' viewpoints, because that way it allows him to kill off characters, and the story goes on. You know, you might read about this character for hundreds of pages and like them, and they die, but there's so many other characters that the overall story can continue. Another part I really like about these books is the adult content. You know, it's a lot of things that get left out in some of the more popular fantasy books, where they have, you know, there's a lot of whoring in these books, a lot of violence on children. There's rape. I mean, it shows more than just like the good. It shows a bit of everything. I think it shows evil excessively, but that's the world they live in, so that's the way it goes. Oh, nice views. The other nice thing about telling the story from so many different viewpoints is that is really what makes it so much gray instead of black and white, good and evil. Is it shows you the reasoning behind the so-called bad guys, and some of them, you know, you look at them a little bit less as bad guys, but some, even when you see the reasoning, they're still pretty evil, like Tywin Lannister and his bitch of a daughter. But I mean, that's what it's got to be. Some of the bad guys, you might understand why they do the things. Others, even with the reasoning, they're still gonna be fucking bad guys. One thing the books are missing is a little bit more magic. I guess, you know, in the first book, Game of Thrones, you basically have the two different gods they talk about, the seven-sided god and the old gods of the north. But at the end, you know, you get a little bit more magic with the dragons hatching, and that's about it, I guess. I can't remember if the whites were in the first book or not, but it picks up as the books go on. So that's nice, and they bring in more gods as well. There's, I guess in a way, parallels our world, where they have different gods and the religious factions aside from the political factions, so that's cool. Well, before this video goes on forever, I'm going to wrap it up. I think the Game of Thrones book's really worth a read. If you've only seen the show and haven't read the books, last I looked, you could get the first 4 books in a box set on Amazon for only $20. It's like 4,000 pages of reading, so it should keep you busy for a while. Maybe I'll do another review more in depth on some characters or some other books, see how this one goes. Leave comments below. I really didn't want to get out of bed this morning and do this. I was tired, but it's an awesome view. It's just a long fucking ways back up there. Gotta do it though. Gotta get back.